Brady and what he's been through and, what it means. But I'm curious, from a technical perspective and from, a training perspective with Brady, how does his injury, which, you said is a lot different than like a knee or an elbow, how has it complicated things? How has it maybe made him more versatile and even, perhaps a better wrestler?
Well, I don't know if it's really affected his training necessarily. He's been able to train hard. Once he was cleared and back in the room, he didn't really have a lot of restrictions. I mean, there's some things that he does for safety, but nothing that would restrict his training. So his training's been great. He's looking good right now. He's got the right look in his eye, and he's a guy that he's not necessarily ranked really high, but he's a guy that could get in there and really do some damage if he's if he just chooses to do that, I guess.
And Surface.
Cael, yesterday you mentioned how important the freshmen are to your program's success. How have you seen some guys who have had freshman success, like Aaron Brooks, kind of mentor the younger guys coming up through the ranks, and how does that help build your program?
Well, I think just by leading and competing with it, by with their example. Like Aaron's a guy who's consistent. The same energy he has right now. It's going to be the same energy, just good positive energy. Day of a match, at practice. I think that consistency is something that I believe is very, very important. And just that consistent energy and positivity is, believing that you're going to just be the best you can be and that you can beat anybody at any given time. I think that, that carries over more than anything, you could really do or say. It's the way you feel is always going to be a better, and what you believe in your heart is always going to be a stronger leadership quality than obviously than what you say. And that's why he's been a powerful leader for us. And I'm saying the right things, but you can say whatever you want, but it's what's in your heart and what's in your eyes that's really going to make a difference.
Go ahead, Andy.
This one's for Aaron. Aaron, typically...
Well, Andy, hold on a second. Can we go ahead and get through Cael real quick, and then we'll bring Aaron in?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, sorry about that. My bad.
No problem. I can ask the same question to Cael. Cael, this season's been unique in that you've had stops and starts, not the typical competition or training schedules. Typically, by this time of the year, you have bumps and bruises and sprains and things. Have you seen fewer incidences of kind of like the routine injuries? Do you feel like your guys might be fresher after this season than seasons past?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough question. They've been training all year, and with the uncertainty, and they had some off-season events. I think I think we're pretty darn healthy right now, relatively speaking. The Big Ten tournament, I'm sure every team kind of came out of there after having only had probably double their matches in 2 days, right? The guys were a little sore and banged up, and you're going to have some tweaks here and there. And I'm sure the Nationals will be the same way. The Nationals are even, it's depending on how you're doing, but it's a couple matches a day. So even that's not quite like, the Big Ten tournament. So, but no, we're feeling great. These guys feel great. They look really good. A lot of good positive energy. And I think it's just human nature. Once the Nationals over, it's going to be what's next. Win, lose, or draw, or whatever the case is. It's always what's that next challenge that we can focus on and get ready for.
Tim Carlson.
Well, as a follow-up to that, Cael, what are some of the things that go into recovery from a grueling 2-day tournament like the Big Tens? And how long does it take to get to where you believe the team is at a peak for this coming week?
Well, we've been training hard this week. It's not really we can rest after the Nationals. I think we have a couple more days of really hard training, and then we'll kind of cut back and let these guys get ready for the tournament. But right now it's just making sure we're ready to go on Thursday, and making sure that our technique and our conditioning and everything is up to par.
Jacob Fariat?
Yeah, Cael, sort of going back to Andy's question for a second. I mean, given the pause that you guys were under and, the fact that you missed a couple duels due to COVID, I mean, what does it say about this team, which is a young team that, you guys have been able to go through this, and how does it speak to their maturity and their growth sort of as people, not just on the mat?
Yeah, it's just a unique year. I think your focus is always going to be tested. It's a lot of ways to look at it, but it's the adversary or the universe or whatever, or just life is just it's going to test you to see if you really know what you want, right? And your challenges never really come uh, as you would think or expect, right? So I don't think any of these freshmen thought that COVID-19 and the challenges we had this year would be the challenge of the freshman year in college. So I think it's just a good preparation, obviously for the rest of their lives, and you just do what you can every day, and you keep your head up, and count your blessings, and just focus on what you can take care of, and have a good time doing it. And I think they've been doing that. So um, there's a lot of things and a lot of challenge, but everyone's in the same boat. I think that's something we talked about a couple weeks ago, but I like that. It's exciting to me, because everyone has the same challenges, and I think adversity is always just an opportunity to show your strength. That's a perspective that I choose to take.
Jim Carlson.
Do you think the NCAA field gets better and deeper each year? I mean, obviously it's probably a good thing, but what do what might be behind that rise in the talent pool?
I don't know. I think college wrestling probably peaked back in 2002, 99 through 99. I'm just kidding. We tell our guys that whenever we were in college, we're like, hey man, you're just lucky you went wrestling in this time period, because man, they were. But no, I think college wrestling's getting better. These kids come in here with just incredible technique. When you're watching recruits and the practices and the things their coaches are doing with them at a young age, I mean, it's very high level stuff. There's no secrets anymore. It's these kids can train in regional training centers at early ages. So yeah, I think wrestling's continuing to advance in our, and it's exciting to see. I also think, as we saw, the Big Ten championship was the most popular wrestling event in the ever, I guess, on the Big Ten network, I think is what I read. And the Big Ten network is, giving wrestling credit, saying that, rating wise, we're the number 3, the top, the third sport in the conference, which that's a big deal. And in my mind, I mean, the value of that is something that we've been arguing for a few years is, Big Ten wrestling is if you actually broke it down, is a revenue producing sport. I really believe that, and that would change things in a good way for wrestling when we can kind of get to that point where we actually acknowledge that and kind of give wrestling credit for the audience and the interest that it's actually bringing. That'd be huge for Olympic sports, but it's good to see that, and I just think wrestling's continuing to improve, and it's fun to watch just because there's some incredible talents in our team, but all across the country, as you said. So it's a good time for college wrestling.
And we're going to do 3 more for Cael, 3 who have their hands up now, and then we'll close him out. So Andy Elder, go ahead.
So, Cael, with the NCAA seeding all 33 wrestlers for the past couple of years, it seems to reward the better wrestlers are the ones that have the more accomplishments. Do you feel like they're doing a good job with that? And what's your reaction? Do you think your guys got seeded fairly this year?
Yeah, I like the idea of seeding all the way to the end. I think it's more fair because there's clearly a huge difference between the 33rd ranked wrestler and what they used to go to 12 or I don't. It was down there
12, and then it was 16, and then they just 32. Yeah.
So there's a big difference between 33 and 12. So I think that's fair, and it's a good thing. And I think this was obviously a very challenging year for the seeding committee, and even yesterday we felt like Bo Bartlett should be in the national tournament. Somebody dropped out, and he had a better win, all criteria except that somebody had a better win than him. But Bo's losses were all the ranked guys, and they were close losses, and but again, you have to have as long as everything's consistent. That's what we want to see. You just want to see things fair across the board, and I think there's a lot of people working hard to make that happen, and we appreciate that effort. But yeah, this year, I mean, you look at the seeds and the brackets, and I think it was consistent, like, that it's kind of hard to follow, who, how, where, why, why things were a certain way. But I feel like it was consistent through all 10 weights. So, but definitely a challenge. And I can tell you, I don't want to be on the ranking or seeding committee. I just want to get into practice and work on finishing single legs and do what we do there. So we're appreciative of the people that take the time to do that. But definitely a challenging year, to say the least, in that regard.
Jacob Ferriat.
Yeah, Cael, you just touched on it a little bit about, guys coming in with more experience and spending time at regional training centers and things like that. How does your relationship with Kevin Jackson and at the Olympic Training Center where Aaron and Greg were, how has that helped you as a coach? And, how important has Kevin and, that training center been for these guys?
Yeah, well, I think, Coach Jackson is, he's one of my coaches, right? I mean, he's a guy that I have a really good relationship with. And there's only a select few athletes that get the chance to go live and train at the training center, right? I mean, it's like guys like Aaron and, Greg was out there, and, some guys like that. But for the most part, these kids are training in the regional training centers that are closer to their homes, right? And so that's a great blessing to them. And I think that's a big part of why they're as advanced as they are. There's a lot of reasons, but yeah, I think Coach Jackson's done a fantastic job. I think there were some kids we have that were actually talking about getting out there but with COVID, at least one of our incoming recruits was thinking about getting out there this season, but everything was put on pause and hold. So yes, I think there's some great opportunities for our youth right now, and a lot of coaches and training centers that are happy to jump in there and help them out at a young age.
Jim Carlson, let's close out, Cael.
So are you still testing daily? Will the NCAA test everyone daily in St. Louis? And does the split schedule of the early rounds cause any problems other than logistical concerns, like, running half your team around at different times?
Yeah, it is what it is. We just we're in the same boat as everybody else. Yeah, we test. We're still testing daily. I tested this morning. I passed Aaron. He's going in to test, and other guys on the team. It's it's just it's a daily process.
All right. Well, Cael, thank you very much.